Last week, I was at a writers' conference, or basically it was just a reading, up in northern New Hampshire. And one of the reasons why I tend to go to these things is not necessarily because I'm a big fan of like the author that's doing the reading, although this author really was quite talented. But it's more about keeping the motivation going, in the sense that although I talk about being, obsessive and very dialed in on my work, there are times though in the process where you tend to lose that edge. You tend to view writing in this very sort of just day-to-day type of mindset. You lose the sort of competitive nature. And not that necessarily writing is a competitive event, but you need to keep that sort of that mindset, that very I won't use the term grind is overused, but you need to keep the mindset of staying hungry, I guess, for lack of a better term. In that, the more that you're writing and the more that you treat writing like just some sort of day job that you go to every day, the better you will get because you're installing the habit. But you also need to keep that edge. You need to keep that sort of hunger there, that thing that keeps pushing you. Because that's what's going to keep you it's going to keep you from dialing in your work. It's going to keep you from phoning that in. It's going to keep you from putting out stuff that is subpar. Because you can show up every day and write, but it's the quality that ultimately is going to matter. Now, for most writers, just showing up basically is an awesome victory. Like, especially, even for me, a year ago, just showing up would have been great. Like, just getting up every day and just putting some words down on the page, that would be a victory. But once you achieve that kind of base level, once you reach that point, the next sort of stage there is the mentality of putting out quality work, the mentality of really being conscious of what you're doing and focusing and putting out that sort of grind. And it's not enough at a certain point. It's simply just not enough to just show up and put words down. You've got to write stuff that's going to matter, because the standard of getting published nowadays, it's difficult. Like, beyond just the fact that you have gatekeepers to appease, these gatekeepers are obviously very well read, and you have to have a certain style, and not so much a style of another author, but your quality of work needs to be at such a high level just to get published. And then after that, if your aspirations are even higher, if you're looking to perhaps become celebrated, looking to win awards, things like that, that's an even higher standard. And so for me, going to these events of these authors that are well respected, it just reminds me of, all right, what I'm trying to achieve, what I am trying to do. It serves also as a way of gauging how close I am in comparison. I do think light comparison is a fine thing for writers. It can become a problem if you overly compare. If you tie any sort of happiness or success to how you're doing compared to someone else, that becomes a problem. But it also is a good measuring stick to see how far you're going. So I do use these events as well to sort of hear the author's writing and see how close am I, right? Like how close would I say my writing is to being at their level or their quality. Not that our styles are the same, but it's a bit like playing piano, where you can listen to someone play piano and you can tell if they've been playing for 20 years or 1 year pretty quickly, right? Like if two people sit down at a piano in let's say a lounge area of a hotel, right? You would tell within, I imagine, within probably, a minute, not even, you'd be able to tell basically if someone has been playing piano for a long period of time or, just picked it up basically, last week. And so it's kind of the same thing with the writing. Like I can sort of listen to a writer and see what they're doing as far as their prose goes, and I can kind of gauge, all right, how good they are. And I'm kind of at the point where I can sort of compare myself to that and see, all right, how much closer am I? And that's an important thing to know. I mean, that self-awareness is obviously important, but it's about keeping that edge. It really is about just maintaining that sort of drive, that sort of mentality of you are doing this for a specific reason. And that gets lost. I mean, the plateau is a very long one, right? Writing, like any other endeavor, is a long plateau. There are very, very few peaks or very few moments where you tend to shoot up very quickly. It happens on occasion. I noticed this with my MFA, certainly. There was about a 6-month period during, I think, my second or third semester where my writing basically shot up quite quickly. Like it went from what I was doing before to where, closer to where I am now, certainly, in about like 6 months. But that was because I was on a plateau of like years and years, and all of a sudden it finally just, things clicked and my writing started taking off. It's the same thing like with any endeavor. It's a long plateau, and so it's important to do these sort of events, for me at least. It's important to see these things and to remind myself that I'm getting closer. I may not realize it, but I am getting closer. My quality of work is getting there, and there are other people that have done it. There are other authors that have gotten published. They're right in that room doing the speaking, so it can be done. And so for me, it's all about keeping that edge. It's all about keeping that sort of that sort of, I guess I'll just call it the grind. Kind of keeping that grind, and not being satisfied necessarily where I am right now, and pushing myself. And so for those that are trying to take something away from this, that's what I would encourage you. I would encourage you to kind of maintain that edge, to maintain that sort of grind there, and however you can do it. Like for me, it's listening to other authors and seeing them. There's something inspiring about it. That's something that kind of pushes me a bit when I see other authors. So that's something that tends to drive me. But for you, it might be something else. It could be going to a bookstore and seeing titles, of books sitting on a shelf, and you imagining, hey, one day my book's going to be on that shelf. I know for me that used to be a thing for a while there. And so whatever that is, try and find that, because this plateau is so long that if you don't find little things like that to kind of push you and to keep that edge, you're going to fall into a lot of monotony, and you might get lost in the process. I think that if I had perhaps done more of that last year when I took that hiatus from writing, when I went through that slump, maybe if I had done a bit more of that leading up to what occurred with that slump, maybe it wouldn't have happened. Maybe I would have continued to write. I don't know. But yeah, it's a long plateau, and maintaining that edge is crucial. It really is crucial to sort of making sure that you don't end up in this sort of Groundhog Day scenario where you're just writing every day and you're not seeing any kind of results or any kind of progress. It just feels like one day is one just long continuous day. So until next time, though, try and find that edge, try and maintain it, because yeah, whatever that thing is that's going to be pushing you to do that, that's probably going to be the thing that's going to improve your writing beyond just the habit. Once you have the habit, maintaining that edge and that sort of focus is going to be the next layer after it.